Hey, welcome back to Max Nave Horsemanship. Glad you could join me again today. Have a little short one today that, well, in some ways this should almost be preceded by catching a horse, but I've done a couple of videos on that. I'll probably talk about it again because it's an important one. If you can't catch your horse, you can't do anything else. But, well, assume we've already caught our horse. Yeah, we have. But we're going to put a halter on. And I'm going to talk today about putting a halter on a horse. And there's more than one way to do it, and I'm sure there's other ways of doing it that I don't even know about. I can guarantee that. But wandering around in the background there, that one there, on rare occasion, because we rarely ever use a halter on her for anything, occasionally she's not real cool about it. And I pull the halter out, go to put it on, and she goes, "No, I don't really want that," and kind of moves away or walks away or something like that. And so I want to discuss what to do in those situations because, well, this was where how I normally do things, you may have seen, doesn't always work because not many people train their horses the same way I do. That's just a fact. And most people, my way of doing it isn't going to work for them. So I'm going to show you how I do things, which probably won't work for you. Well, it might, depending on the relationship you have with your horse. And then I'm going to show you another way to do things, a little bit different, and I'm going to show you a couple ways of doing that. There's a couple variations to it that may or may not work depending on your horse. I'll talk about them too. So just give me a minute and, well, she wandered off on me now, so I've got to go to convince her to come stand over here in front of the camera again. And we'll start off with how I usually do things, and who knows, it might not even work today, because occasionally with this one it doesn't, and, well, with most other horses it doesn't either. And so that's why I want to show you the other way of doing it that will probably work a lot better for you. Hang on, and we'll go get a horse and see what we can show you. Got to help you out here. Now, normally the way I do things, and you don't need a real close-up shot for this, so don't mind me if I'm a little ways away from the camera here, because it doesn't really matter. It's not that important. But what I like to do typically is I'll put the halter on first and then clip the lead onto it, because it's a little easier that way. It really is, if you can do it. And so, well, we'll get over on the other side here, where we got to be, and we'll drop the long end down. We'll just loop it over her nose, pass it up over to my other hand, pull it over her head. Well, today she's really good for it, so. But that's how I normally do things, is I just put the halter on. And once we get in place, then we take the lead, because I don't want to drag it on the ground anyhow, and it's not safe to have it attached to a horse if it's over your neck. Bad things can happen, depending on the horse. Well, actually, just about any horse, bad things can happen. So you don't want to be doing that. So now that we got the halter on, put the lead on. Okay, that's how I normally do things. And it works on my horses and ones that have been trained like mine. However, not many are. And I had that reminder a little while ago with another horse, somebody else's horse here. I had to catch it and take it into the barn, and when I went to catch it, I forgot, and I just tried doing things like this, like I normally do with mine, and he wasn't having any of it. Every time I tried putting the halter on, he'd move away from me, and I couldn't get the halter on him. But as soon as I threw a rope around his neck, he was a good boy. I mean, nothing bad. It's just the way it's just what he was used to. Once the rope was around his neck, he didn't move an inch. So now I'm going to show you, if you get a horse like that one, I'll show you what you got to do. Well, actually, this can work even with some sketchy horses that are a little cautious about stuff. Hang on a second. We'll start over again. We'll take the halter off and show you another way of doing it. This method I'm going to show you, it's probably one of the more common ones that most people use. But I'm going to show you a couple variations of it, because depending on how sketchy your horse is, you may have to use one or the other. Now, with some horses, oh, there she is. See, she hasn't got anything on her, so she's going to do whatever she feels like doing now. So this is exactly why you need to do it this way sometimes, depending on the horse. Okay, I'm just going to stand here with my arm around her so she doesn't go anywhere while I'm talking to you for a second. Because what I've got to show you here is well, so you don't have to stand there with your arm around the horse, which in some cases you might not be able to. But here's the other way of doing it, is you want to put a lead around the horse's neck to keep it from going away. And sometimes that's all it takes, just a rope around the neck of any kind, around the neck, that's it. Now they're not going anywhere. Okay, often works. But there's two different ways about going about this when you want to put a halter on at the same time. Now, I've got the lead end and I got the halter end. Now, if the horse isn't too sketchy, you can just drop the halter over. But if you got a really green horse and it's a little wary, this big bundle of ropes here might be a little bit much, and it might be far better off for you to actually reach around the horse's neck with the lead and bring the lead over. Because that rope alone, and it's not coming up from behind, it's coming up from in front, so the horse isn't going to be as worried about it. And that's one thing, a lot of people don't think about this stuff. It's like, what's going to be more worrying to the horse? Something sneaking up behind it, or something coming up around the front that it knows about? So that's why if you got a wary horse, bringing this lead up around in front of it and just reaching over and grabbing it and then putting it over the horse like that, that's not going to bother it near as much as if you were to take and try dropping this halter over, because like I say, you got a big pile here and it's coming up from behind. Some horses might not like that. So we're going to just assume that's what she's going to be like. I don't think she would be, but this is how you're going to have to do it with most horses. Now, you've caught your horse because now you got it. You got a rope around its neck, and with most horses, that's enough to keep it from going anywhere. You want to put that halter on still. You haven't got the halter on yet. Now, we're going to get it turned around the right way, like this, because this is how it's going to go on the horse, just like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this lead and I'm going to drop the slack in it. Then I'm going to slip this over her nose, take up a little more slack, and now I can let go of that halter. It's not going anywhere. It stays on her nose, right? So we're killing two birds with one stone. Just the weight of this lead alone, even if I let go of it, it's going to hold that halter up there for me. So now, okay, so we just got, this is the loop we're going to tie onto now. And this long end, I mentioned this before in another video, don't throw it over the horse. Reach over. You only got one rope now, and it's coming from the front, so the horse knows it's there. And and this is where you need a horse that's going to be good with you reaching over its neck. So you just reach over the neck. You take this loose end, you bring it up over, and this whole time, my lead rope is holding the halter on. And well, if the horse should decide to try and take off on me, which hopefully won't, but even if she did, I could grab hold of this. And she's not going anywhere, because if I pull on this thing, it's going to put pressure on her neck to bring her towards me, as well as it's still going to keep that halter up on her nose. So now we're just going to snug this up. Actually, that's not very good. We're going to have to do it again once we get this down, because doing it this way makes the halter go all kitty-wampus. So there we go. Now we're just going to snug it up a little more. And there we go. So there, I told you it'd be a short one, but that's one of the ways of haltering a horse, is you actually use your lead to hold the halter in place while you're doing up the halter. And just the weight of the lead alone, once you get it up to that point there, the weight of the lead alone will hold the halter in place for you while you tie it up, which makes it a lot easier, frees up hands and that. But like I say, the way I like to do it is I just put the halter on and then clip the lead on, because now I got the long end of the lead on the wrong side of the horse's neck, so I'm going to have to reach over and drop it down. And there, now we're ready to go wherever we want to. Now, that's a little bit more work doing it that way, but if you get a horse that is not like where you can just walk up and stick a halter on its face, that is probably how you're going to have to put the halter on, is, slip the lead up over the neck, which you've now caught your horse by doing this, because you now have a piece of rope around its neck. And then as you're doing, before you do it up, you slip it over its nose, drop the halter, the lead rope, I should say, drop the lead rope down, And the weight of the lead rope alone is enough to hold the halter up on the horse's nose while you get it done up. And then if you have to, when you're done, you can give her a little more slack and then move it around, make some adjustments and tighten it up as need be. But very good. Just thought I'd show you that one because I did, I like I said, you know, I don't think I've really talked about this stuff before. And if you've ever watched me, the way I usually do it is I just stick a halter on without a lead attached to it. Then I put the lead on. That's the way I usually do things. But let's face it, most horses aren't trained that way. You can't do that. And you're going to have problems if you try it that way. So I thought I'd show you what's probably more the correct way. How most people are going to do it is, you know, and like I say, depending on how wary your horse is, you know, you can do it one or two ways. Either drop the halter over, or you can reach around and bring the lead up. And those are the two variations of doing it this way. And depending on how wary your horse is, you may have to use one or the other. But basically, that's how you put a halter on a horse. Is your lead rope holds it in place while you do it up. That way you got two hands free to do up the halter. And, well, the lead rope's still pretty close to you. If you need to grab it in a hurry to keep the horse from taking off on you, that's also an option. It's right there. You know, if you're over here, you know, working on the knot, you're right beside the lead rope. You can grab it quite quickly so that the horse isn't going to go anywhere on you. Anyhow, like I said, short one today. Just thought I'd throw this one in. Have a good day.